Hello everyone, my name is Holden Hardman. This is my lovely wife Jen. Today we're watching episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again. The thumbnail has now ruined what I'm guessing was a surprise. That Punisher is in this one, John Bernthal. I didn't know that, but now I do. Last episode, we didn't see eye to eye on every little thing, and y'all sure let me know it. No worries, I'm still really enjoying the show. I'm having a great time with it, so don't misconstrue what I'm saying. I think that Charlie Cox is bringing his A-game acting. There's just a little, like you said, nitpicky things that I just kind of prefer that they've gone a different way. But very small, very minute, doesn't take away, doesn't detract from the experience for me. I am really looking forward to this next episode. I still am kind of in shock about the White Tiger stuff.
100%. Oh my gosh. I was really starting to get into that character too. So I'm sad that we didn't get to see more of him.
Yeah, I saw somebody else say that there was a reference to an Officer Morales. And so people were speculating is that Miles Morales' father, who's a police officer. I don't know. Maybe that was just a fun little Easter egg, or maybe it's related.
I so am not picking up on this stuff.
I didn't catch it the first time through, but afterwards, how are you feeling going into episode 4?
Well, now I'm freaking excited. I had no idea. I mean, this had been sitting up for the last 5 minutes, and I didn't even know Punisher was on there. I didn't look at it.
It's just John Bernthal.
I'm so excited. I'm really, really upset now, though, that we haven't watched Punisher, even if I don't need to watch that in order to understand.
They're letting me know they hate that as well. But I'm thinking well, we want to do a reaction for it for you guys down the line, or we just watch it on our own time and you never see that. So your call, you let me know. If you're fine with us just watching it on our own, we'll bang it out over a couple nights.
Well, at this rate, I feel like I'm gonna die before I get to see Punisher. It's just gonna be pushed back.
Oh, and we've just finished recording the final episode of season 2 of Arcane, so I might even be putting it as on Patreon like a poll. But
I predict this is gonna be my favorite episode, just because with Punisher, I feel like the longer I go, I'm just like, dang, I really like Punisher. Right up my alley. I absolutely love him. So I cannot wait to see this episode. As far as the structure of the rest of the series so far, I'm enjoying it. I think that Matt is that transition from Netflix to Disney has been pretty fluid. I think it's the same old Matt, which makes sense. And I'm enjoying the court stuff. I enjoy any court stuff. I'm such a sucker for Law and Order, so I'm enjoying it overall.
Yeah, and then at the end of episode 3, we see the Punisher emblem of the person who shot White Tiger. And so I think they're speculating that it's this fringe group of police officers that have sort of taken on his vigilantism kind of philosophy.
Well, episode 2, I think it was episode 2, where we saw the tattoo.
And then in 3,
I was like, is that Punisher? It looked similar, but I couldn't tell if it was a knockoff version or something. Looks like it's gonna be the actual Punisher symbol. So
well, then the cop in the courtroom had it too. So I'm thinking that's what I think. I think that those police officers basically were we like the Punisher's getting stuff done. He's taking the scum off the streets. But I'm hoping at least that this will open the door to the problem of vigilantism, of murder, because people are the Punisher's a good guy. Well, that's the issue, is because it really depends on the perspective of the person, because
everybody thinks they're the good guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when you have somebody like Punisher who's killing bad people, we're all like, oh, okay, good. And then you have these police officer vigilantes that are killing people, thinking that they're doing good, and we're like, well, that's obviously wrong. That's the whole issue, this sort of moral relativism. Well, Punisher's good, he's bad, but they're doing the same thing. Daredevil's good, but he's not killing, but he's still... So
yeah, I mean, in my opinion, okay, just because Daredevil isn't necessarily killing, he's still completing acts that are along that line of being a vigilante. Sure. So yeah, really, it's just varying degrees.
Right.
So I have always thought that Daredevil is not any I can see the argument being made for that. But regardless, Matt at least is I won't kill, or at the very least, I will do everything I can not to. Whereas Punisher's just bang, bang, bang. You're bad. You're bad. You're bad. I don't know. I disagree with you on that. Well, I know that Punisher is a lot more extreme. That's a fact. But I think that we have seen instances with Matt where he has kind of given into some of the
darker urges.
Right.
Sure. And forget Matt. I'm just talking about the Punisher philosophy of it. They're dirt. I kick them down. They stay down. great, and then you have other vigilantes who are like, maybe take it a step further. But then that's worse.
Here's the thing, like Matt, his viewpoint is, well, the justice system is faulty and there's things that fall through the cracks, and you know, that's when he swoops in. I mean, that's exactly what Punisher is doing. He's just not saying that word for word.
Yeah.
If you agree with anything that Matt's doing, you also have to kind of agree with what Punisher's doing.
Yeah, I'm not even talking about. I'm not even talking about the morality of vigilantism. I'm talking about the murder. So, for example, Frank Castle
Specifically killing someone.
And for vengeance or justice or whatever. So, like the Punisher, for example, he could kill somebody who got off on murder. We're all like, okay, great. Then you have a guy who's like, you know what, I'm gonna take it a step further. I'm even more moral than Frank. I'm gonna kill people who got off for shoplifting, because that's still wrong, and I'm making sure they never, you know what I'm saying? So the line, like, we're celebrating Frank Castle for being a murderer, essentially, because we agree with his moral, like, standard. But if somebody else comes up with a moral standard that's different, this was Matt's whole point in season 2 on the rooftop, when they're like, well, what if somebody decides that you need to be put down, Punisher?
But I think that you tend to, with Punisher, you know, all the faults and what's wrong with...
I'm not talking about the faults.
But listen, I've noticed that with Daredevil...
We can talk Daredevil, too.
Daredevil, most of the time, you're like, well, as long as he's not killing, he's good.
I do think that the line is, like, that's a good line to have. But no, we could talk about Daredevil, too. But I'm just saying, like... I'm just pointing out the problem of murderous vigilantism. We're seeing it, I mean, even in real life, though I don't want to get too into that. Where we're like, okay, we kill this guy because we think that they deserve it. But if somebody else, like these police officers that killed White Tiger, they probably think that they're doing good. They're like, let's get this vigilante crap off the streets. And of course, we're like, that's abhorrent. How could you ever? They're not. But philosophically, they're of the same mindset. Their moral line is just different. That's all I'm
Technically, on
saying.
paper, then that's why it makes sense. Why it's supposed to be nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you let the justice system take control of that.
Yeah.
Nobody's supposed to take it into their own hands.
Yeah, and I think that that's Matt's, like, that's what Matt wants to do, fix the justice system itself, or as close as we can. And, you know, he's kind of retired, but he probably won't be retired by the end of this. And he has his own problems. He's pushed that line too. I'm not an apologist for the way he does things, but I'm just pointing out the dangers.
You don't think you're
of,
a
like,
little biased though towards Daredevil?
I think his moral compass is cleaner than Punisher's.
I think that, like, Matt has come dangerously close to killing people many, many, many times. So yes, I understand that jump to actually taking a life is pretty large, but with the amount of times that he's come so close, I don't see that huge of a difference between him and Punisher.
I think the big difference for me is that Matt is like, that's like the final straw, only at the absolute necessary, where it's like the first thing Punisher does. And I think that that's a meaningful distinction between them. Even though philosophically they're like, justice isn't working, we need to intervene. But I think Punisher is just, you know what, I'll just kill him.
Well,
that's my first
Daredevil
move.
doesn't even fit into that category anymore because now he's a killer.
You're right.
Maybe they'll get along better now that they have more in common.
Yeah, no, I pushed it.
Okay, I know you guys love Matt, and I love Matt too, but I would love if Punisher was in this season a lot, like commingle
Well, we'll
our guys. Like, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, I honestly, real talk now, I think that they really kind of need each other. I think Matt is like a good moral pull on Punisher, who probably is righteous in, like, his feelings of, like, pedophiles, they just get off. You have enough money, you can get out of prison, whatever. Right. And I think he's right in that. But I think that sometimes Matt Murdock is a little too naive when it comes to the justice system, and he needs, like, a reality check from Punisher. So I think that they're good extremes, or I think that they're good philosophic, like, bases, but they need each other to kind of ground each other. Punisher, you can't just go kill anyone you think does something wrong. And Matt, you can't just be lenient or think that everything's okay when somebody who's clearly guilty just gets off on a technicality.
On the same token, though, I think there's also times where when they look at the other person, so like Punisher looks at Daredevil and is like, this is the reason I am not like you. And it cements in their brain that they are on the right track as far as their beliefs, their actions. So I really depend what's going on in the situation, but I love seeing them together. I think it's really, really good chemistry.
And I think the vigilanteism is going to be like, it's already the setting up for something for Wilson Fisk, because he's really honing in on that specifically. And I think the moral questions as a society of like how far is too far. And everyone thinks that they're morally correct. You know, the left and the right, they think that they're morally correct. The religious, non-religious think they're morally correct. And I think that's probably going to play into here to some degree. We like Punisher because Punisher kills bad people. But who's defining what a bad person is? And that was Matt's point in season 2. Because now we have these police officers who are taking my anticipation that they're police officers that are like fringing off. They're taking over like Punisher's lineage of like, okay, we're going to be vigilantes too, and we're going to kill people that deserve it.
Right, but even still, like, just because Matt isn't...
I'm not even talking about Matt.
Well, I am, because you're harping on my guy a lot.
I'm not. I'm harping on the philosophy, the philosophical impact, that we cannot, like, we can celebrate Punisher because we agree with him, but the moment we stop agreeing with him, they're obviously evil. But my point is that they're philosophically almost identical. They're both killing who they seem are bad people. And so that raises the question, we really can't be having people that are just executing people that we deem are evil. That is like, that's contrary to how a good civilization should be.
Well, you're talking about executing.
Are
you okay with a step down from that?
Which is what Matt does?
Yes. Or harming them, taking, matters into your own hands, causing physical harm to somebody that you believe is guilty outside the justice system.
It really depends. So like White Tiger, I think, is like a really good example of a vigilante that I agree with. If we as a citizen see somebody being mugged, I think you probably have a moral imperative to intervene. So I agree with if you want to call it vigilanteism. Matt, what he does is he takes information, like insider information, and then kind of pursues and kind of gets the cops out of involvement. I mean,
he hunts them down.
Yeah,
let's just be honest.
In real life, no, I probably wouldn't agree with that. But White Tiger, somebody who's like intervenes when things happen, I'm 100% for that, really, to be honest with you. Okay. But if White Tiger just all of a sudden is like killing people, like there's a mugger, I'm gonna shoot him, get rid of this trash off the street, I don't agree with that. But Punisher might do something like that. And everyone, oh yay, Punisher. I'm just saying, like, these things are very, very murky, and I think we can get caught up in our own sense of what is morally correct, that we lose a sense of like, hey, these police officer vigilantes are so evil, and Punisher is so good, and I'm like, they're really not that far apart. I mean, they're almost identical. It just comes down to specific moral issues that we happen to align with.
I mean, we have to have, I get what you're saying, we have to have like a baseline. Everybody has different opinions of like, what is acceptable as far as like, well, that person deserves it. They committed this crime, or they did this, they harmed this person. But there has to be some sort of baseline, everybody
and that's
is on the same page.
It's supposed to be the justice system, which Matt pushes for. And I think that, as a collective society, we really need to focus on making sure that that is as good as possible with evidence to support it, instead of saying, I just know he's a murderer, so I'm gonna kill him, versus like, can you prove it? So I think that that's why Matt really, especially in this season, seems to be focusing more on the justice system, and in all the other seasons too, albeit with all the imperfections therein.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Matt, he wants to, in some way, he wants to not have to be Daredevil. Like, he wants to just be an attorney and have that faith in the justice system and not have to put on that suit, go out, hunt these guys down, but he feels like at certain times he has to.
I get what you're saying. I just get a little worried when people like really, not just like Punisher, because I like Punisher a lot, but really like identify with Punisher and like, I could do this. Like, I totally get it. I would just like, damn, pump the brakes.
I feel like, look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm a justice system believer. I believe in the courts. I think that they should handle all matters when it comes to determining whether somebody is guilty or not, and that punishment. However, the human side of me, with regards to having kids, just being a woman, being a human, I can understand where that where that need to correct mistakes comes from. You know, if you hear that a little child is harmed, I can understand that urge to.
Me too.
Especially if the justice system fails, that's like, how do you just let that go? I feel like I want things to be like a Matt.
No.
Our attorney.
Yeah.
I want our attorney to, you know, defend or be the prosecutor.
Yeah.
You know, inflicting, hey, this is gonna be your punishment. But I can understand Punisher. And I love him as a character, but would I condone that in real world? Absolutely not.
Especially to the extent of Punisher.
I wouldn't condone it, but I can understand it.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I hear you. I think that we kind of idealize Matt's philosophy, you know, and the justice system does work a lot, but these ones that fall through the cracks are just so glaring and obvious. So, for example, there was that case like in the 80s of the guy whose son was raped and murdered. And the dad of that kid, like, waited for him to come out, and it's on footage. He like shoots him in the head. When especially as a parent now of a son too, you know, my initial reaction is like, yep, totally get it. And you know, I still kind of feel that way. So I'm not saying like Punisher, you know, because I get it, but I'm just saying there's got to be a balance of like reeling it in. And I think even like our culture now is kind of getting on board of like, if we don't like them, if we think they're evil, kill them.
Going back to there's a difference between condoning something and understanding why someone would do that.
Oh yeah.
Understanding where those emotions come from.
Don't get me wrong, I understand.
And
I get it.
I think that's where I am. Like, I see some of the stuff Punisher has done, and I'm like, yeah, I totally get that. I get why he would want to take that course of action, but would I, in real life, be like, yeah, go do that?
Let me ask you, this would be a good question. So Frank Castle's on trial, and there's all these people that he killed, that he murdered. That's what it is. He sought them out with the intent of killing them. Would you prosecute him and be like, okay, Punisher, I understand you, but...
Well, you gotta give me more details than that.
You've seen, what do you mean? You've witnessed it firsthand.
Right, but what is the detail of this specific
There's
specific
283 first-degree murder charges on Punisher. And there's a family member who's like, my husband did a lot of wrong things, because one of them was Irish. My husband did a lot of wrong things, but he was working on changing his ways.
To be honest,
and then the Punisher came and shot him right in the head 87 times. There's my wife. But I understand him.
Listen, I mean, I'm honest about that. Like, yeah, I may understand it. Is that gonna...
But okay, regardless, it's time to act. Prosecutor not.
That may be
my wife's like, not guilty. Not guilty. Clean as a whistle.
That may be where I admit, hey, I don't have the ability to be impartial with this.
So you're not gonna be on jury. Like Punisher, I get it, I really do, but we can't have people going around just shooting people up in the city. That's a guilty.
I mean, I
want to cut to that season 2 court scene where Matt is doing a whole character witness on how good of a man Punisher is, and he's like, I love killing. I want to kill again. There's my wife, not guilty.
Okay, no. I mean, it just depends on, like, honestly.
It's like, you let me out of here, I'm killing again. There's my wife.
No. Okay, I recognize that I have that like human side of me that is like, I get that. I get why he would react that way.
Just stop killing again.
But I don't know. It would depend on the situation. Like if it was a case where
you've witnessed it.
No. But you're talking about like, hey, he is on trial for this murder. Okay, what's the details of that murder?
Let's just take the one where it was like his introduction, where all those guys were sitting around a bar and he just shoots through the window and kills them all.
I don't remember the details of that.
Well, I just told you. They were sitting around at a window, unaware of him, and he shoots them through a window and kills them all.
Okay, but why did he shoot them?
Is it relevant?
Yes, it's relevant.
They were. I
mean, they would explain that to a jury.
Okay, they were like a mafia gang.
Okay, so again, in that situation, yeah, I think the human side of me may be able to kind of push that aside and be like, yeah, you killed someone, even though they're a crummy piece of toe cheese, you know, you can't be doing that. However, I recognize that if it was a case where a child was murdered and he went after that guy, I don't think that I would be able to be impartial, and I would not be afraid to say that.
So you say that the guy who shot the dude who raped and killed his son, I think he got off. They declared it as like You know, it's such a understandable response that it's just like, how do you even...
So my point is, everybody has certain triggers that they would, with regards to Punisher, that I think they would be able to understand a little more than some other crimes that he committed.
Yeah.
And for me, that would be like, yeah, I would be a little bit biased on that. And that's fine. I'm just gonna admit that, you know? I still love my dude.
Yeah, and that's the downside of talking about these hypotheticals when it's characters we really like and characters we understand, like Punisher talking about the story of like his daughter getting killed and the whole 1 penny, 2 penny, or bushel in a peck thing. Because we really like empathize with him because we get that, and then like, what's it like to have your family taken from... And that's the fictional storytelling part that we're really drawn to. But I'm just talking about like in real life, separate that. You can't have a guy going around just judge, jury, and literally executing people.
Ironically, for those reasons, that's why I enjoy his character so much.
too.
Because he's like, of all the characters in the MCU, I feel like Punisher gets stuff done. Like, no excuses. This is what I'm doing and I'm going to accomplish it. And maybe it's my military background, I don't know, but I can like identify with that sort of basic thinking. Like, this is my goal, I'm gonna do it. In his case, it's this person was harmed and I'm going to take vengeance. And that's it.
That's good.
And he's so headstrong, you know what I mean? Like, he has a strong personality. Nobody can really convince him otherwise when he has made up his mind. And I admire that sort of headstrong, can't be pushed around mentality.
Yeah, me too. But we can't have somebody
So
going
I'm a
around
little
the
more
streets.
biased towards Punisher. You're a little more biased towards Matt, I feel like.
And don't get like, again, I'm alternating between like, okay, in the real world, we can't be letting that happen.
Sure, we're not...
Versus this is a fictional world and stuff. So yeah, I just get a little concerned when like people really like idolize Punisher and they're like, you know, I totally, like, I could feel, I just get a little iffy about that kind of stuff. Like, this is still fiction, guys. This is make believe. In the real world, we can't, like, that would not fly. Like, we can't be having people do that. So I just get worried that people sometimes that line, and I've been seeing it more and more, especially like in our political climate of like, yeah, just kill anybody who just doesn't think like we do or doesn't think things that are good like we think are good. You gotta be really careful with that. But as far as character goes, love Frank Castle, love Matt Murdock. This intro is the longest we've ever done in the history of this channel. So let's go ahead and get into it. Episode 4 of Daredevil Born Again. How long was that? 25 minutes. We might need to do another one, baby, to be honest with you.